in my conversations with their consulting engineer, they wanted to defer it for 1 month, but I really don't know what the issues were. Of course, the consulting engineer is not here at this moment. The representative of the architect is here.
They did want to defer it for a month?
They wanted it deferred for a month from when?
From this evening.
So
So do we want to go ahead and?
You don't want to do that. You can pass that tonight. You don't want it? Will you come up to the microphone? Can you come up and clarify?
It's fine.
Sorry.
The way I understand it then is the site plan's already been approved, and Dan, you don't really have any more questions that haven't been addressed, correct?
I don't have any further comments. I just didn't issue a final letter to Bruce until such time as I wanted to see what happened in the conditional use hearing today.
And basically, you just wanted to see if we approved the conditional
Yeah, I
use.
mean,
which we
without
just
the
did.
conditional use, the site plan is
It's not useful.
exactly. So if you can approve the conditional use and you want to approve the site plan,
We already did approve the conditional use just a minute ago.
yeah, and the site plan is fine. I'm okay with that.
The condition, you said you have an HOP
Two
and
conditions
developers agreement?
we're executing a developer's agreement and an HOP permit. And they're both standard things that we would expect to have.
That's conditions on a site plan which doesn't require that letter, John.
then I'll withdraw my objection to 112.
I mean, we could wait for 1 month, but if we have everything in place here, and the board, the planning commission has already approved it and asked questions, and is there any other questions from the supervisors? I think we've gone through most everything.
They went through the extra step of supplying that site plan as part of this conditional use, so we have everything, landscaping plan, yeah, that we would just look at again next month, which we just looked at.
And in the conditional use hearing, we did discuss all that.
Right.
Any other comments from the supervisors?
No?
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. So moved. Okay, the site plan has been approved.
Congratulations.
Okay, now we'll go to the administrative reports. The township manager, Don.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I provided information to the board members regarding their agenda items. Any questions that you have, certainly address those as we approach those agenda items. I'm seeking the board's permission this evening to conduct interviews for our operator's position. Actually, what I need is who would like to participate. So that you can't hear me? Okay. I need permission to conduct the interviews with the operator's position that we advertised last month.
Okay.
Elizabeth, you'll participate as well?
I would.
You would like to participate in those?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll be there too.
All right. What I'll do is I'll reach out to the applicants and I'll set up our schedules through email.
And let us know what date it's going to be, Don. We'll see you. Come and show
I'm
up.
an operator for what?
The Public Works.
Jimmy Pashu is retired.
Aren't there two positions that we're interviewing for?
So that's out of 1166.
I don't know.
Dawn?
Jimmy,
Union?
Our guys are 2 of 5 Teamsters.
Okay.
So aren't we interviewing for two positions?
That's correct, and we're also interviewing for the mechanics, a mechanics position too. So,
Mechanic and operator.
right.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, as asked last meeting, I was asked to inquire of grant writers. I have made some contact through several grant writers. Information is still forthcoming. However, a lot of that depended upon the type of grant that you were seeking. Generally, the grant writers are looking for an hourly stipend as well as a percentage of the grant award. So I hope to get all those refined so that we're comparing apples to oranges, and I'll provide that information to you before next meeting.
Okay.
The same along those lines, as also asked last meeting, I was asked to inquire about bonds and loans for possible capital improvements. Elizabeth and I have been talking several days now on different scenarios, and I believe the conclusion of our conversation was it may be in the best interest for the community or for the township, excuse me, if we're to go out, to actually go out for proposals, seek proposals from different banking institutions and see what the best rate is that we can get. There are pluses and minuses to both sides of those. I think I've provided emails to the board members so that they can analyze that data. So with the board's permission,
Where did you know about private banking institutions?
yes, I sent one out from John Wishart, who is he handles their large loan department in Washington Financial. Now, he's the only, today, he's the only banker that I've contacted. Of course, Washington Financial is our major, our bank of record, so I would reach out to them first.
And time of the loans included?
Yes, yes.
Were the dollar amounts and length of the loan included?
Dollar amounts, interest rates, right, repayment schedules, things of that nature were included with that email.
I'm not sure if I got that.
Is there anything else on, or is that it?
Actually, just one more item, and I may have wanted to put this as an agenda item, but I'll leave it up to the board today. Last week, I did send a letter that I received from the Southbridge EMS, and I'm going to apologize to Dan Miller because I see him back there. I'm sure everyone got an opportunity to read it, but I think it would be best coming from Dan. Dan, do you mind coming up and talking about what you plan to do at your location in Cecil Township?
Before you get up here, Dawn, when you're going to send for RFP,
If the board doesn't object, sure, certainly. I'll start that process tomorrow.
but
How do we come up with the dollar amounts? I think we need to
discuss this later on in the agenda too, about bond issues.
Right, that does come up, so sure.
We're asking for.
But go ahead. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Dan Miller from Southbridge EMS Operations Manager. Basically, it's been a long process, but we finally got control of the building that Cecil area EMS from a long time ago had. They finally gave that over to us as a nonprofit organization. We have the building, but the land is now in Cecil Township's demise there. So we would like to actually expand that building to add more units and more capacity for crews to run out of there. But we can't apply for any loans or expand the facility without the building and the land being joined together. So our long-term goals are to actually increase coverage and unit capacity at the Cecil station for the residents, but we need some action to pull all that together and make that one package.
The township actually owns the land and you own the building, right?
Correct. The school board actually owned it when we first started, and then back in 94, 95, they gave it over to the township.
Okay, and if I understand it right in the email, what you're asking for too is that if we deed that property over to you, then if the ambulance service would change or down the road, then we would get the property back?
That is correct. If we stopped servicing Cecil Township and it was of our will to do so, we run a business or whatever, we would get the property and everything back to the township. However, likewise, if the township said, they didn't want Southbridge anymore, they were bringing in another service, we would want reimbursed or, for our investment in the building, we would want compensated for that.
I have a couple of questions to ask you. You've been turned down for loans.
We've been turned down for loans?
I'm asking that question. So you said you've been turned down for loans?
No. What I'm saying is, in order to get a loan or a mortgage on the building to expand it, we would need the property joined with the land.
No. Who told you that?
That was the guidance of our attorney, who was saying that the mortgage company will not give you a loan on a building to expand on land that you don't own.
Do you have a lease?
No.
You don't have a lease in the township?
There was an agreement that existed when Cecil area EMS actually had the land. It was conditional use of the land for the purpose of running emergency medical services in the township. So that is what exists from back in, I believe it was early 80s.
I don't know, it was before my time. I think that, John,
That would have been, Elizabeth, at that time, that would have been between the Cecil area EMS and the school district.
Right, but if they don't have a lease now, they should have a lease.
Yeah.
And with a lease, you can get a mortgage or whatever he needs.
Well, I was just thinking that typically, even you see any commercial property owner that's building out, they typically get the financing, they may not even own the structure. They're not usually concerned about the ownership of the land, so long as you have a legal interest. And we allow for the expansion. Typically, a bank would request, if anybody's going to do any office build out, so long as we go along with it, they shouldn't really care. I'm not sure that we can also tie ourselves to the board's ongoing approval of having this EMS service, and we would have to pay you back, that there's some sort of hook, because that's not how we would view EMS activities. If it comes up in the future that if for some reason we voted to put somebody else in, that you would want something back from us. I'm not going to have that burden on the board. But I think initially you should go to your lawyer or bank and ask if we provided a lease agreement, and if, as the owner of the land, if we provided permission to expand the structure on the property, and see if that will suffice for you to get a loan to do that build out. If not, then I think the board can reconsider some sort of option on how that might look.
I guess our only concern is if we come in and invest $300,000 in the building to expand it, that there's some sort of contingency of prolonged service that we,
Well, I think that's every business's risk. Any business that comes into any town hopes their clients stay put, and if they lose them, I mean, that's the risk you take. I don't think this township's in a position to bind its citizens for emergency services because you've got a mortgage on a property. I mean, that's my opinion legally, that you would not be evaluating that as the reason. For some reason in the future, their call times are down, there's problems, and we're stuck because they're going to want reimbursed for any improvements they make to their building. I think it would just be, to Supervisor Calvin's point, if you had a lease agreement that showed what you could or couldn't do, and the fact that perhaps you could sell that property or get somebody else in there, maybe with our approval, it doesn't need to be EMT, then there's less risk on how much you're going to put into that building. I get, I understand you want to put in the money and the board could vote some other day and put another service provider in, but that is not going to be tied on your structure. I don't believe it can be.
Can you talk with their attorney then, John, and see what you can work out?
Yeah, if they want to call, I think you go to the lender and say, if the township is on board, if the township passes a resolution, if the township provides a lease and authorizes me to do the build out. Now, I understand the bank may want to see that you have some commitment from the township to help pay that mortgage, but I can't do that, and I'm not sure how long your contract is now. Do we even have one, or we just vote on it when we vote on it? Do you remember?
it's like a 90-day, thing. It just keeps rolling over.
Yeah, so, and I don't think the board is disappointed in any way with your services. It's just the idea, even for this board to bind future boards, and you're gone and the services aren't satisfactory, and they're weighing times to go to a scene versus whether the board has to pay something financial. I don't think that's a balance we want to undertake.